From tiny snails to actual spiders, here are 8 creatures found living inside the human body. Let's go. Number 8. Brain-invading tapeworm. Spirometra erinaceoropae is a tapeworm from Asia that rarely invades the human body, instead typically infecting carnivores such as cats and dogs. Only about 300 human cases have been reported since 1953. Several years ago, a 50-year-old Chinese man reported to a UK hospital with complaints of headaches, seizures, memory flashbacks, and an altered sense of smell and taste. Doctors ruled out tuberculosis, HIV, Lyme disease, and syphilis. An MRI showed an abnormality, and a biopsy detected inflammation, but no tumor. For the next 4 years, MRIs showed that the abnormal region was actually moving around in the man's brain. Medical professionals didn't know what was going on, so they finally decided to operate. They removed a 1-centimeter-long tapeworm unlike any other ever seen in the UK. The creature was shipped to the Wellcome Sanger Institute in Cambridge for genetic testing and was identified as Spirometra erinaceoropae. Number 7. Botfly larvae. If you have a sensitive stomach, this is not the video for you. You have been warned, my friends. When a 17-year-old boy from Pazuzu, Peru, experienced a swollen left eye for several weeks, he went to the Children's Hospital in Lima to try getting to the bottom of the issue. An MRI revealed that there was a 1.2-inch worm living in his eye. Suspecting it was a botfly larva, an ophthalmologist and her assistants painstakingly removed what turned out to be a creature from the teen's eye using basil leaves and tweezers. Around 40 different mosquito species are known to transmit human botflies. Mosquitoes deliver and implant eggs into humans by dropping them onto the body and then biting into the person to feed, causing the eggs to drop into the skin. Larvae grow inside the body for about 8 weeks before emerging. In some cases, an infestation is relatively harmless depending on where it occurs, but in others, it can lead to serious consequences, and the patient may have an infection spread to his brain. Number 6. Oral myiasis. Myiasis is the medical term for a maggot infestation in the human body. Oral myiasis pertains to an infestation in the external and/or middle ear by creatures averaging in length from 10 to 15 millimeters. In Istanbul, a bedridden 87-year-old dementia patient's left ear itched constantly for a month and then started bleeding. Doctors discovered that her left external ear canal was full of live fly larvae. They sprayed the maggots with a lidocaine solution to restrict their movements and removed 7 of them, total 1 by 1, with the help of a microscope. Luckily, the procedure was successful and the patient was okay. Usually, people who can't effectively communicate or care for themselves are at a higher risk for oral myiasis, like one 92-year-old Illinois Alzheimer's patient who couldn't convey her discomfort when her ear contained 57 maggots. Nobody is immune to having a fly lay eggs in their ear. One young man from India went to Dr. Vikram Yadav, complaining of buzzing in his ear, and it was chock full of fly larvae. A housefly likely laid eggs in his ear while he was sleeping. Dr. Yadav suffocated the squirming creatures, causing them to emerge to the surface, pick them out of the man's ear individually, and apply an antiparasitic medication. Before we move to number 5, first let me know your scary experience with bugs in the comments below, and be sure to hit the like button if you haven't hit it already. Number 5. Cockroach. An Australian man named Hendrik Helmer woke up one morning in early 2014 with sharp, agonizing pain in his right ear. The pain worsened between intermittent periods of relief and eventually became unbearable. At one point, if Helmer was standing up when a jab of pain hit, it caused him to hunch over and drop to the ground. Thinking a spider had burrowed into his ear canal while he slept, the Darwin resident tried flushing his ear out with water and sucking the creature out with a vacuum. Would you do this? I don't know. Not only were these methods unsuccessful, but they also seemed to anger whatever was inside Helmer's ear. He went to the Royal Darwin Hospital, where a doctor poured olive oil down his ear, and using forceps, the doctor extracted a 2-centimeter cockroach from the man's ear. Thank goodness. This is pretty terrifying. Unfortunately, this wasn't a one-off occurrence. In India in early 2017, a 42-year-old woman named Selvi went to the hospital complaining of severe discomfort. She said that she felt something moves inside her head, and whenever it moved, it gave her a burning sensation in her eyes. It turned out to be a fully grown cockroach, which entered the woman through her nasal cavity and lodged itself between her eyes, at the base of her skull, and near her brain. Thankfully, the specimen was removed using a combination of suction and forceps, although it was a bit reluctant to come out. Would you get over it if a cockroach took up residence in your ear, or would you be scared for life? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4. Sea snail. A little boy from California named Paul Franklin scraped his knee against a rock during a family camping trip in July 2013, and immediately they cleaned and bandaged Paul's wound, which didn't seem serious. But Paul's seemingly minor injury persisted for weeks and became swollen and infected. The medications helped at first, but Paul's wound ultimately worsened and eventually started turning black. His mother drained the wound by squeezing it with her fingers until it popped. What looked like a strange black rock emerged from Paul's skin. Upon closer examination, she realized it was a sea snail. The family was relieved to finally know what was wrong with their son, concluding that a snail egg must have gotten into his knee when he scraped it, and Paul's injury rapidly healed after it was removed. Number 3. Giant kidney worm. In late 2015, a 76-year-old Czech woman named Hanna Fuldinova went to the hospital at her doctor's urging after he discovered blood in her urine. Thinking it was a blood clot, emergency room doctors performed surgery only to discover a 10-centimeter worm living in the woman's kidney, as well as a 6-centimeter worm in her bladder. They removed both specimens and identified the one from her kidney as a giant kidney worm. Giant kidney worms are only removable through surgery and become life-threatening when left untreated. Unfortunately for Fuldinova, the invasive inhabitants had weakened her body, and she ultimately succumbed to their damage. Doctors were unsure how the giant kidney worm entered Fuldinova's body. Human infections are typically caused by eating undercooked fish. Number 2. Spider. In Bali, Indonesia, a spider crawled into Australian vacationer Dylan Maxwell's appendectomy scar and traveled up his torso, creating an irritated red trail that started blistering. He sought medical care and was prescribed an antihistamine for what the doctor thought was an insect bite. But the pain didn't subside. Maxwell described his pain as a very searing, burning sensation. After returning to Australia, the man sought a second medical opinion. Doctors made a small incision in his stomach and found a spider that had been living underneath his skin for 3 days. Eventually, they removed it, leaving a red scar-like trail from his navel to his chest. Number 1. Squid's sperm bags. In June 2012, a 63-year-old woman ate parboiled Japanese flying squid in South Korea and felt a pricking and foreign body sensation as she bit down. As soon as she put a piece into her mouth, she felt like many bugs were biting her oral mucosa. The woman immediately spat out the squid due to the severe pain, but by then, the damage was done. Doctors removed 12 small white spindle-shaped bug-like organisms stuck inside her mouth. Good thing she caught it early. They were essentially parasite-like bags of squid semen, which doctors identified as spermatophores. They are not fully formed organisms with eyes, legs, or tentacles, but they are complex, and they continued squirming around even after they were extracted from the woman's mouth. Thanks for watching. Weren't these creepy? I hope you weren't eating at the time. Which one did you think was the worst? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.